Yo, 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 this is your host, TayJordan. This is episode 3 of For the Culture podcast. And I have a very special guest here joined with me today. I'm really excited to have him. He is Howard University legend, none other than Chuck Walton. Welcome to the show.
Say, thank you for having me. I appreciate the incredible introduction.
No, man. I appreciate you, man. You are one of the hardest working men that I know in the business, perfection of his craft. And I appreciate your time today for sure.
No, anything for you, anytime. I'm glad to be here. You've been doing great stuff with the show, so I'm glad that hopefully I'm one of the first to get in this joint because I know it's going to be real big.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I know you from the shy. You hold it down to the death. So I just want to obviously we gonna go from, I want to know your journey from present day to, even going back. So if you could just take me to the beginning stages of Chuck Walton, like, where you from and, why you chose Howard. So just take me to the beginning.
So, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I feel like Howard chose me rather than me choosing Howard. I was, born in Los Angeles, California, ironically, because that's where I'm at now. But I was born out in LA, in the IE. And then I moved to Chicago when I was like 5 or 6. And I was raised in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area. Pretty much stayed in Chicago the rest of my life until, I got done with high school, obviously. And when I graduated high school, I didn't really have the grades to just go straight to, a 4-year college. So I stayed local and attended a junior college, College of DuPage, which is one of the top junior colleges in the Midwest. Okay. So I was there just kind of, trying to figure things out, like we all do. At the time, it was kind of rough because I'm looking around, I'm seeing all my homies and my homegirls. They're, living the college lifestyle, doing it big and things like that. And I just kind of felt like I didn't really finish the job, I was definitely very smart as a student, but I don't think I applied myself and, really took coursework as serious as I needed to in order to make sure, my future was set at the time. So did the JUCO thing, hunkered down, really just developed, a great work ethic to try and, get myself back in the race. And then it was time really for me after my 2 years in JUCO to kind of look for my next stop. And, a lot of kids in the Midwest, they go to the local schools in the Midwest. So like University of Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, schools like that. So I had looked at Iowa and I was like, I don't know about this. I had took a trip down there with my best friend. And I was like, man, Iowa, I'm from Chicago, right? We're the third largest city in the States. It's a very urban metropolitan area. It's a lot of hustle and bustle in Chicago. So I'm used to like a lot of fast paced lifestyle, things like that. So you can imagine going from Chicago to Iowa, it was like, it felt like prison for me. You know what I mean? So I decided to kind of look around and it was funny. I had a friend of mine who actually, this crazy friend of mine, he was really crazy, man. He might have had some issues up here. And so one day we're at I go over to my boy's house and I walk in and my crazy friend was like, yo, I'm getting out of here. I'm really leaving Chicago. I'm like, okay, you say this every time we come over here, whatever. He's like, I'm going to Howard University. He's like, my homie Reggie's at Howard and I got in, I'm going to Howard. So like my homie, he like a hustler type, street dude, I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't even remember him going to high school. I'm like, he's going to So naturally I'm like, wait a minute. So I'll never forget it. I told my boy, literally I just got to his house. I'm like, I gotta go, bro. I gotta leave. Cause I had looked on my boy's computer. He had left his computer up and I saw the requirements to get into Howard. And at this time I was tired of like just being indecisive, trying to figure out what could work for me and apply to these schools. So I was like, man, I had an ex-girlfriend at the time that had went to Howard. I hadn't talked to her in a while, but like I knew how much she loved it and stuff. So I told my boy, I'm like, I'll be right back. I gotta leave. So I literally left his house, like ran out the house. His mom was like, damn, where did Chuck go? So I go home, walk in the house, and my mom's cooking dinner. I'm like, Ma, I want to go to Howard University. And she's like, what? Because I had always been the person growing up telling people I didn't want to go to a HBCU.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, I didn't want to go to HBCU because I just felt like, I don't know, I probably was ignorant to all the great things that HBCU really had to offer. I just looked at it as if like, I didn't want to just be around my people all the time. You know, I felt like I'm a worldly kind of guy and things of that nature. And I didn't really understand what a HBCU truly stood for until I was able to take the trip to the Mecca. Gotcha. And so I hit up that ex-girlfriend. I was like, hey, you know, I know it's been a while, but I'm coming to DC. So me and my mom took a trip out there just to kind of see the school, the campus and things like that. And man, I loved it. Like, you know, we got off we flew into Reagan, took the metro to, you know, the Shaw Howard stop. When I jumped off, you know, it was just like, boom, the culture, you know what I mean? I was just people out there, you know, dancing, playing music. I'm just like, wow, we walk up Georgia to the campus. And I'm just like, man, this is lit. Like, I remember my first day there, I met Bow Wow, like literally when I just like walked on the campus. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like celebrities just be up this joint. Like it was crazy. So fell in love with the school, I applied there. I didn't hear anything from Howard. So I had applied like maybe 3 or 4 times with no, like, nothing. Like they didn't tell me yes, they didn't tell me no.
Oh, wow.
And so got extremely frustrated. So fast forward, man, one day my parents went out and my dad's real well known in Chicago. He knows a lot of people. That's kind of where I get that from.
I see. It's the bloodline, huh?
It's the bloodline, you know. So, you know, I'm just going about life regular. He come in the house, you know, they went, had a good night. And he come in the house with my mom, and they're like, yo, we met this guy that can get you into Howard. I'm like, what do you mean you met this guy? He's like, man, we went to dinner, and this guy can get you into Howard. I'm like, okay, maybe y'all had one too many at, you know, at Gibson's. I'm like, whatever. So we wake up. He's like, no, man, he met this guy. And so he's like, the guy wants to meet me, and he could basically, like, facilitate getting me into school. I'm like, man, I'm like, all right. So I go meet the guy, and it turns out it's a guy by the name of Brian Monroe, who at the time, he was the president of Ebony Magazine at the time that my parents met.
Shoot. Your dad is the plug for real.
Yes. And so he had spent some time at Howard. He had went to Howard. Then, you know, just worked his way through the ranks. He's like a world-renowned professor and stuff like that. I believe he's at Temple now in Philly. But he basically knew everybody. He knew the admissions lady and the whole school. And a weird thing had happened where the time I was applying, Michael Jackson had passed away. And, you know, Michael Jackson's my favorite. You know, I got Pac on the wall, you know, Mike, Pac, they up there, my favorites. So turns out this guy was the last person to interview Michael Jackson before he died.
Wow.
Yeah, like to this day, he's got the last interview. I don't think he's ever released it yet. I've actually heard it. He played it for me, which is crazy. So he had all of this clout. So he was at Ebony, interviewed Michael before he passed. So when Michael died and they had the funeral and all of that stuff, you know, it was a big spectacle on TV. They had him come on CNN and he was doing all of these talking things, you know, on CNN. Right. So Ebony, I think, was going through like a, you know, laying people off. Something happened in Ebony and he basically left Ebony and went over to CNN. Okay. So he became the president at CNN Digital. Wow. And he would play a role in my later portion of my life too, which
definitely
is crazy.
A good person to know.
Yeah. So basically, man, he put the play together. My mom, before we even had met him, had gotten in contact with Dr. Kagwa and the School of Communications, and they had been communicating for quite some time. So basically, I flew out there. I packed all my bags January 2010. Dr. Kagwa told me just to come out there. He's like, yo, you know, I'm pretty sure he'll get in. I'm like, what do you mean? Are you sure? And man, I literally packed everything I had. I was telling all my friends, like, I'm not coming back. Wow. So I flew to DC like January 3rd, I think 2010. And I met with the admissions lady. I think her name was Linda Saunders Hawkins, I believe. And so I tell her my name and stuff. She's like, we don't have anything, you know, with your name on it here. I'm like, whoa, we just flew in town. Like, I'm like, you know, Brian Monroe. She's like, no, we know Brian. We don't know you. I'm like, yo, this ain't. So then literally, like, my parents sitting there, they quiet. Everybody, it's like an awkward silence. And she's got 2 phones in front of her. She had like the iPhone and the BlackBerry. I'll never forget it. So then she gets on her, like, she's not even really looking at us. She like, oh, Brian Monroe, you said you knew Brian, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you said your name is Chuck. Do you go by Charles? I'm like, yeah, that's my, you know, my official name. She's like, oh yeah, he called me about your Saturday night. She's like, let me get your student ID. I'm like,
she was playing.
So like, if you paying attention, I got in Howard University, like, with no real, like, even transcript for real. Like, so the lady just off the connection was like, yo, they gonna let me in and give me an opportunity. I just had a semester to prove myself. So she came back in the room and I'll never forget it. She goes, I actually owe you an apology. She goes, you have been applying here, and anybody that goes to Howard knows how the A building could be.
Man,
She
on.
She goes, we found all your applications. I went to ask them about your name. They found my applications in a big old stack with no decision on them. Like no decision. And she was trying to tell me, like, at the time I didn't understand it. She's like, we have issues in the administration building. And, I'm just happy to be in school, and I'm not knowing how that's going to affect me later on, like overrides and stuff like that.
You'll soon find out.
Yeah, I soon will find out. But long story short, man, they let me into school and changed my life, man. Howard University is everything to me, man. Just the culture of the school.
Okay.
Meeting people like you and just everybody, it's almost like, it's literally family, because like, family's with you when you winning, family's with you when you losing, family's with you from, birth and to, you leave the earth. And I feel like that's what Howard University is. It's like, you call me, anybody from Howard, we call each other, check on each other. And it's just like, it's like we still was on the yard. Like it's instant, man. So.
No, yeah, it's definitely all love. It's definitely family. I appreciate that for Howard, for sure. So I know you're an Ed Hill guy as well. Can you just speak a little bit about the importance of, like, mentorships and networking, and how instrumental Ed has been in your professional journey?
He's the guy. I mean, Brian Monroe, I feel like Brian Monroe was the quarterback, and he handed the ball to, Mr. Hill, and he was the running back, and they just, they won the game for me. Like, they opened the doors, almost like maybe they the coach and the GM. Like, Mr. Hill is everything. I posted him for his birthday the other day, happy, belated to Mr. Hill. But I said, man, he's the most important person in sports, in my opinion, especially for, Black people.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody bigger. This is a man that has affected so many lives, not just at Howard University. I mean, this is the guy that gave Michael Wilbon his big break, and Michael Wilbon has no affiliation to Howard University.
Ed is a genuine dude, man. A good guy. Good guy.
Yeah, genuine guy. So, like, that's the thing. I get to Howard now. It's like, okay, you got to do the work. So I'm just, at that time, I'm really just, doing work. I majored in communications. I didn't know what I wanted to. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to really like go about it. And a good friend of mine actually introduced me to Mr. Hill. My friend Izzy Allo, and I met Mr. Hill, and then basically me and him hit it off instantly. Like, and we just bonded on just life stuff, sports, obviously, and then him and Ricky Clemens, Mr. Clemens. One day I was in the office, and they were just like, "Hey, man, you like to talk a lot," and they're like, "You know sports." They're like, "Why don't you broadcast the games? We're thinking about getting back into broadcasting the games. We hadn't done it since Gus Johnson was here." So I was like, "Cool." So next thing you know, I got a microphone and the mixer, and we're going live broadcasting the games. And then I brought my flavor, my personality, and my knowledge of the game to the basketball team and the football team, to the broadcast. And next thing you know, it just started blowing up. We start getting a lot of listeners and viewers. And one thing leads to another. And now that's what Chuck is. Yeah, I just became a full-blown sports guy working in the industry. And I literally owe that to Mr. Ed Hill and Ricky Clemens. Like, I owe them everything.
That's dope. So yeah, so take me back to, undergrad at Howard. So even speak a little bit about, you creating the blog with Elite Insiders, and then, from you becoming the voice of Howard sports to, that was transpired to become the voice of the Golden State Warriors during their championship run. They beat my Cavs one too many times. Three too many times.
Three too many times. Yeah, I was actually just watching the highlights actually, like, right before we got on this call, the 2017 finals, so I got love for the Cavs.
Let's watch the 2016 finals. That's all you need to watch.
No Draymond. That was a fluke.
Y'all had a we ain't had no Kyrie and no love for the whole first time.
Okay.
So
I'll give you that. I guess we even. So yeah, basically, what was your question?
So yeah, so just in terms of, becoming a voice of Howard University sports teams, and then becoming the Golden State voice, if you could just take me to, like, how each thing had its domino effect. Yeah.
So then basically I get the Howard University situation, and it started small. It gets really big. Reggie Miles was helping us, an incredible professor from the School of C. A lot of people really, like, jumped on board and helped us out with that. Also, kudos to all the coaches that were at Howard during that time because they allowed me unprecedented, unlimited access to the team, road games, things of that nature. It was really cool because I learned how to be a pro in the business because after the first year that we did it, they wanted to expand. And Mr. Clemens, he's so important to not just my career, but a school like Howard because this is a guy, anybody will tell you at Howard, as much pride and passion as we have, we don't have the resources like Syracuse might have or Missouri might have. Of course. So he spent a lot of his own money and time fighting for more money to make sure we had all the proper equipment. Every other school, if you're the voice of the school, you just get to, it's automatic that you travel. We weren't traveling that first year. He actually fought for me to be able to travel and to broadcast the games on the road, which was super, super cool because it taught me how to be a professional. And so I got to travel with the teams. So, and also it enhanced my skill set because the lack of resources also made me have to work harder than maybe other people in the profession because I was broadcasting the women's games as well as the men's games. So yeah, most people, you just travel, you might have the women's team and the men's team. No, I was doing both. Yeah. So if we went to go play FAMU, I'm setting up at, 1 p.m. for the 3:34 p.m. tip-off. I'm doing the entire game. I'm doing the first half, the halftime show, the post game. Sheesh. Maybe a 2-minute break to shake a hand, take a picture, get the game notes, do a quick breakdown, and then lead into the men's game and do the whole same situation. So I was working, the grind. And then because, Howard University obviously was trying to save money, I didn't have necessarily a producing partner. So I'm literally my guy Lamar used to help. He was really great, the assistant SID. He would help me set up the equipment. But once I set up, I'm doing everything. I'm doing play-by-play and color commentary, and I'm playing the Craig Sager role, but it gave me the best learning opportunity because now I can do anything. So there's no role you can throw me in that I can't execute fully. So do the thing with Howard, and then from there, I needed an internship to obviously graduate from the School of C. So naturally, I wanted to get a sports internship. And when I looked at the paperwork that Ms. Dudley gave me, I saw that ESPN 980 had an internship opening. So I called the guy, Chuck Sapienza, who was the program director. I gave him a call around Super Bowl week. I'll never forget it. And he's like, he kept ignoring my call. I sent him a text. And finally, like literally the day of the Super Bowl, he shot me a text and was like, "Hey, kid." He's like, "Okay, I'll bring you in for an interview. Just let me enjoy the game, and we'll see what you got."
Dope.
Yeah. So I went in for an interview, and they actually they hired me, and they brought me on for an internship. I was there for 5 days, Monday through Friday, and that Friday, Tim Shovers, one of the producers, was like, "Hey, got to talk to you in the back." I'm like, "Oh man," I'm thinking I got fired from an internship. I'm like, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, "What did I do?"
Right.
So he goes, I'm nervous. He goes, "Hey man, you like working here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love it."
Right.
He goes, he's like, "Hey, calm down." He's like, "Well, we want to keep you working here." He's like, "I know you're just here for, internship, but we would love to have you actually like work here. Do you have a job right now?" I'm like, "Actually, I don't have a job." And, I was living off campus. I'm like, I could use some rent money.
Right.
So they hired me as a board op, and the guy that actually trained me as a board operator there is actually one of my best friends now, who also graduated from Howard. He's also from Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And he lives in my building in LA. He lives literally directly on top of me. Ironically, random. His name's Cole Johnson, and he was already there, and he trained me up. And so I started as a board op there, and then I would tell Chuck Sapienza, like, "Hey, I'm an on-air talent," and he'll just be like, "Okay, whatever, man." Right. And then I ended up doing this big CNN interview, and once I did that, he was like, "Hey, how come you didn't tell me that you do that kind of stuff?" I'm like, "I was telling y'all that from day one."
Right.
Literally the next day, they had me on air. They put me in position to start doing the Sports Center updates and things like that. I cut a couple commercials for like Subway, I think Cars for Kids, just start living the dream. And so start working my way up. And then the CNN piece led to basically everybody just reaching out. So I did an article with the Washington Post that was nominated for an Emmy. I was a contributing, writer or voice to the piece. Things just started changing rapidly for me. which then led to a job offer from the NFL Network. And my good friend and mentor and also Howard legend, Steve White, he helped put a great word in for me at the NFL Network. And so I ended up basically leaving ESPN 980 and transitioning to the NFL Network, which is based in Culver City, which is Los Angeles. So that's how I ended up in LA.
Nice. That's a dope story. And one thing to gain from that is just like you were persistent. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Even from the get-go, like you stepped out on faith. A lot of people wouldn't have even made that move from Chicago to DC, you know what I'm saying? But you had a vision, you had a plan, and, you know, everything just had a snowball effect. I think that's super dope for sure.
I definitely had a vision.
Yeah, for sure. You said something neat there too when you mentioned about, you know, the access and Howard helped give you access, like even letting you travel with the team and stuff like that. I wanted to talk a little bit about as far as the experience that Blacks have in media. It seems as though, I don't know, maybe your perspective is different, but I figured you'd be a good person to ask. It seems from my perspective that in terms of access, like for instance, getting in the press rooms, it seems as though, many of us are denied that access unless we got like that big company across our credential or something across our neck.
Right.
Do you feel as though we have an access problem? Do you feel as though, like, for instance, independent entities, for instance, elite insiders, if you're not, is it really, I guess, hard or difficult for the smaller or Black entities or media companies or Black journalists to get in the room without that big credential on their neck that says ESPN, CBS, ABC, or something like that?
Yeah, it is hard. I think, but the good thing about, you know, Black people is, you know, we can make, you know, we can make sugar out of shit, you know, for lack of a better term.
That's real.
One thing that I was able to do, you know, Howard will grant me obviously access for the team and things like that. And then I would learn through that process, like, okay, this is who you ask for if you go to a different school. So if I'm at Duke or North Carolina, like, let me get in touch with the sports information director, let them know, hey, I'm a journalist, albeit a small time journalist or a local writer, but I want to cover the team. I mean, this is my website. This is where this will, you know, show. This is what I'll do with my time. So really, I think what Howard taught me was just finding and identifying the person that you need to talk to. For instance, when I did launch Elite Insiders, which was my blog that was ran by myself and a couple other students, which was an amazing time because we were credentialed for everything. Before I moved to LA, I got credentialed for the BET Awards through my blog, which is one of my greatest accomplishments because here I am, a young college student with no affiliation at the time to this industry, and I find a way to work through channels and my relationships and get credentialed. And I got to fly 2 members of my team along with myself to LA, you know, hotel and everything, cover the entire BT Awards weekend, the experience, the show, everything. So, for instance, like the Wizards, Mr. Hill had took me to one of it might've been the state championship for DC. It was a playoff game. And I came in through the wrong tunnel and the security stopped me. And we had to wait for a dead ball for me to walk to my seat. So while I'm waiting, the guy just gets to talking to me. He's like, oh, you from here? I'm like, no, I go to Howard. We get to talking. We make friends. He tells me he's like one of the head security guards for the Wizards. He's been there since the Jordan years. He's like, hey, if we ever want to come to a game, he'll hook up some tickets for me and my boy.
Oh, well, shoot.
I'm like, cool. So we hit him up. He starts sending us to the Wizards games. But the cool thing about it was we wouldn't just go to the games and sit in the seats. I would walk down so I could say what's up to him. So when I would walk down, he would look the other way and let us in like the little back room where like the media hangs and gets the free food and the free drinks. So I would watch the game from the tunnel a lot of nights, and I got to meet like Doris Burke, Clark Kellogg. I started meeting people because you know I'm always just trying to connect and build. So I was like, this is my plug. So basically he ended up introducing me to all the people at Monumental Sports who then gave us credentials at the Elite Insiders to cover the Wizards, like officially. So we were able to get credentialed to the games. And this was all just through, you know, connections. So I think Howard just teaches you how to, like, once you get in, just, you know, what you need to do once you get in the room. But it's definitely difficult sometimes to just get in the room. It's a hard thing, even to this day for anybody that's Black. You know, we obviously have to work triple times, quadruple times harder than somebody else just to get in.
That's real. I want you to talk a little bit too about this op-ed piece that I think, and you probably would agree, it kind of like blew it all up for you in terms of, putting you on the map. Well, you was already on the map, but I mean, as far as blowing it wide open in terms of your opportunities.
Yeah, no, it definitely blew me up. It put me more nationwide. So this is how the story ties together. Mm-hmm. So now I'm about to graduate. Mm-hmm. So I had the ESPN job, so that was a blessing. I always knew I had that no matter what.
Right.
I'm there. I'm building. They finally got me on air, so I was like, worst come to worst, I'll stay here, build my name up, build my voice up, and work for this incredible company. Which to this day, I mean, they're just incredible. I'm so thankful for my time at ESPN 980. Mm-hmm. So, but still, I'm like, let me look around. I do a piece for BET and HBCUX, was this like company they were trying to start, or they were doing this new like HBCU company. So they followed me for like my whole senior year and did like a feature piece on me. So in the feature, I tell my story, how I just told you, and I mentioned Brian Monroe. So my dad was telling me like, hey man, stay in touch with Brian. And me being young and dumb, never stayed in touch with him, right? I get on the yard, see the pretty women. I don't even,
right.
Obviously I always said a prayer for him. To this day, I say a prayer for him every night because he literally changed my life. He changed my life. I can't talk about him too much because I get emotional because he changed my life. He changed my life. So fast forward, I mentioned him in the piece and I get a call from this random number on my phone, right? So I answer it. I'm like, hello? He's like, hey, Chuck, it's Brian Monroe. And I'm like, oh, hey, he's like, how is everything? I'm like, I'm about to graduate. He's like, that's why I'm calling. He said, I'm the president at CNN Digital now. I'm like, yeah, I know, congrats. He said, I saw the piece that you did, and, you shouted me out. I said, oh, you saw that? He said, well, that's why I'm calling. He said, somebody, somehow, the universe, somebody at CNN saw this piece and asked him, did I know, did he know me? Because I mentioned him. And he's like, yeah, I helped him get into college and, et cetera. And so they said, well, he seems like a sharp kid. See if he'll do an op-ed on the Donald Sterling situation.
Wow, look at that.
Full circle. So the man that walked me in the door walked me out the door, basically, to the next level. So he basically had me write the op-ed on the Donald Sterling situation.
It was a great piece, by the way. Great.
Thank you so much. And shout out to my younger brother, Marcus. He actually really helped me a lot with that piece. Just really just convey a lot of my thoughts and just, he's incredible. He went to Mizzou and he, he's English major and all of that. So, yeah, it takes a village, but yeah, so I do the piece and then he calls me the next day and goes, hey, do you want to be on TV? I'm like, what you mean? And he's like, come on CNN and talk about it. So next thing I know, I go down to CNN in DC and they throw me on the primetime slot with Poppy Harlow and Don Lemon. And
game time.
Everything changed from then. It was like being drafted, it was like being a first round lottery selection. I just shot out of there. So yeah, the man that started it for me just really got it started for me, which is crazy, crazy.
That's super lit, man. That's a hell of a story for sure. It's a hell of a story. So yeah, I wanted to talk too about the this whole concept. Like, when you look at different properties, like look at athletes that's started their own media platforms, or not even, I wouldn't call it a platform. Like if you look at All the Smoke, you look at Uninterrupted, you look at Players Tribune with Derek Jeter. It's just so many. The list go. I feel as though like it started maybe with LeBron and then like they just opened up the floodgates. Now KD got some, Derek Jeter got some, A-Rod is in on it, Chris Paul is in on it. So do you feel as though with these athletes going direct to their audience, has it made traditional media more obsolete? Has it made it like, we don't necessarily need the ESPN or the ABC to tell us the stories, they're going direct to their audience themselves, and especially with social media?
Yes, I think Bleacher Report is the best one doing it right now because I feel like they've been out so long and they were kind of like technically the first. So I feel like everybody is familiar with Bleacher Report. If you're a diehard sports fan, I feel like you have the app. Even if you don't open the app, it's probably something you just downloaded and it's on your phone, where if there's a story that goes viral, you can just click on the app and really, dive into it. Yeah, I guess it does make it obsolete in a way. I still feel, I just had this convo the other day with my brother, I was like, I still feel like the giants like ESPN won't really be going anywhere. Just because, like I said, access is everything. You know, when I did the CNN piece, it didn't hit me until later that day. I went to Ben's Next Door to have a celebratory dinner with my friends. And my phone had died because I was getting so many, like, you know, calls and congratulations, and like actual jobs were hitting me up like, hey, I know you're grad, because they, in the article they say, hey, he's going to be graduating. So there were companies asking me to come work.
Free agent.
Yeah, I feel like a free agent, but I'll never forget I was sitting in Ben's Next Door, and I looked up and CNN was on. And that's when it hit me how big CNN is, which, I mean, I already knew how big it was, but it hit me what I did, like the magnitude. I'm like, whoa, like every time I travel at an airport and you look at the TV, CNN is on. Yeah. So that let me know that when I appeared on that primetime slot with Poppy Harlow and Don Lemon, I was seen everywhere, like everywhere. You're like, so I
know you was nervous.
Yeah, I was definitely, you know, I was definitely nervous. It was like, it was a lot happening, and it happened so fast, by the way. Like, they sat me in the chair. I stared like I'm staring at you, but there was no screen. It was just a green light. And then they put the IFB on me and stuff, and then I just hear, hey, Charles, this is Don Lemon. I'm like, whoa, like, like, whoa. So, anywho, that's how it is with ESPN. You know, they'll always be a force because they have the access. You know, you go to an airport, they're on in the airport, and they have the contract for the games and things like that. But when you do have Uninterrupted, you have Players Tribune, Bleacher Report, Quibi, just the new latest company to pop up. I feel like it gives everybody takes a different slice of the pie, and it allows each athlete, I think, to kind of leave their mark on the industry, because you can tell stories the way that you want them to be told. I also think that it eliminates some of the sources that we always see that can sometimes get you in trouble, because now it's just kind of like, even when KD wanted to go to the Warriors, as opposed to all the rumors that were out there, and, you know, LeBron got bashed for the decision at the time when he went to Miami, it was like, cool, well, like, boom, I'm going to just write this article on the Players Tribune. These are my words, it's my decision, and I don't have to take an interview about it. Like, I'll see you at the introductory press conference. So I think that's the cool thing about it. It allows the athlete to really take control of their career. Because the sad thing about media, and I'm a media person, but the thing that I don't like about media is that the media has a lot of control with things I don't feel they should have control doing.
Like, for controlling instance, narratives, or what you mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's life, right? But like, more so voting for like MVP, things of that nature, right? Like, you know, like Kobe just passed, right? Kobe was one of my idols, right? We all rest in peace to Kobe and, you know, Gianna and everybody that lost their life from that tragic day, right? But like, you know, you get down to breaking people's career, accolades down, and it's like, oh, well, Kobe only had the one MVP, and it was like, he could have had 3. Minimum, he should have had 2. You know, Steve Nash got those 2 MVPs, and a lot of people will tell you, I mean, taking nothing away from Steve Nash. He was great, you know, but the writers, you know, we know Kobe had a love-hate relationship with the media, similar to how Barry Bonds did. So, which is why Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame, and, you know, things like that. So, that's the part about media that's just kind of like, oh man, like, we just gonna, you know, we don't play the game, but we get to dictate the outcome of like stuff that will really play a role in how we look at people's legacy down the line. So I think it's dope what LeBron has done and Derek Jeter has done by jumping out there and trying to give the athlete a control over their own narrative.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's, you hit it on the money right there. I think that media definitely sometimes has too much control and controlling and dictating, you know, how things go. I had a whole nother theory about the MVP. Like, for instance, I still talk about this to this day, and I know it's like 5 years old at this point, but like, I just felt like, don't get me wrong, Steph Curry had a heck of a season that year he won unanimously. I just feel like for him, and ESPN just put out a report for like top 75 NBA seasons, and I think they ranked that season number 36, which it just does not correlate. How you got the only unanimous MVP in history, and it's not even a top 10 season. I just felt like Jordan, Shaq, LeBron should have had, like, they should have definitely been unanimous, but you know, it's a popularity contest sometimes.
No, for sure, and that's what I'm saying. I do think that Steph deserves to be unanimous that year, that season. But I do agree with you. I think there were years where LeBron should have probably been unanimous, and Michael Jordan. I mean, think about that, right? Like
crazy.
Now that you're old, and I grew up in Chicago. I mean, I was a kid during the Jordan years. You know, my dad used to take me to the games. Yeah. I have all the original Jordans, the original merch. You know, so it's funny when I see people now like going to buy the shoes and things like that. But yeah, it's like, wow, wait, Michael Jordan was never unanimous MVP. Like as a kid. You know, as a kid, I'm just looking like, oh man, Mike got the MVP. I'm not worried about. I don't even know what the word unanimous means. You know, when you're that young, right? But now it's like that's crazy. But like I said, some of these media people, they have ulterior motives, and thankfully for Steph, he's one of these people that just is loved by everybody. He's just such a great guy that it's like. You know, even LeBron, you know, when he was losing to Steph, he's giving him like, hey, man, he's such a good dude, man. You root for a guy like that. So I can see how he becomes unanimous, right? But then if you get an Allen Iverson, right, who, you know, the media
rough around the edges, you know.
Around the edges, it's like, all right, you know, he MVP, but he's already going to win. I'm going to just give a vote over here to Ray Allen. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
So that's the bad part about the media.
You know, I was listening. I gotta get on you on this one. I was listening to your podcast maybe about a month ago. Yeah, it was on Dash Radio, and this was actually at the time you was working for Uninterrupted, I think. And I'm like, you picked KD, Steph, Kawhi, Giannis, all ahead of LeBron. I think this was like the 2018 season, or it might have was last season. I'm like, bruh, first of all. How you gonna say that and you work don't get me wrong, like, you know, everybody got their opinion. I'm like, bro, how you go? That's just straight disrespectful. LeBron, number 6 in the league, you gonna reconsider, or are you still feel that way?
At the time I felt that way. And this is one, you also have to understand at that time the Warriors had just got done, you know, handling business with Cleveland. So at the time when it came,
KD joined the 73-19, but okay, carry on.
And that's fine. That's fine. I was more so projecting out. You know, if we were talking all time, then obviously like LeBron's a top 5 player all time. You cannot. That's
but
not
even last season, I know he got hurt, but you felt like he was number 6 in the league. Think about before he went down.
At the time, I did, because I think what Kawhi was doing in Toronto was just nothing short of amazing. You could just see they were already I don't want to say great. They were a very good basketball team. And when he got there, he was just making them great. And then also I project, I see potential in a lot of people. So I was more so projecting out where I thought the league was going. You know, LeBron, obviously at that time was 34, 35. You know, LeBron's legacy was set, you know, and at that time, and then Giannis, obviously, you know what he's doing. It feels like he grows an inch every other month, right? So that's how I was looking at it. To me, if Steph had, you know, 3 more inches, we might be talking about Steph as the GOAT. Like, you know what I'm saying? He, you know, because he just would be able to do a couple more, you know, more things, like get into the lane a little bit more, be just a tad bit more physical. But he changed basketball as we know it. I mean, he's just unstoppable. So that's how I was kind of looking at that. I think this season, LeBron obviously was probably, you know, 1 or 2. You know, it was either him or Giannis. I probably would lean towards LeBron, just because at his age, what he was able to do this season with that Lakers team, I think was absolutely amazing. So I think right now, before obviously Corona shut the league down, I think Bron was probably number 1.
You think the league going to come back this season?
Yes, I think we'll see a form of the league come back this season. And I saw that Mark Cuban just came out and said that he's not going to open the Mavs practice facility because he feels like it's just not the right thing to do. That's what's going to be scary. I feel like the scary thing about sports, even when I look down to this fall with football, which is, you know, my favorite sport, and obviously I hope to see the games, but, you know, there's so many variables that play with this virus, right? It's kind of like you and me, right? Let's say we go on a vacation and, you know, you bring a friend and I bring a friend and we want to go take a trip. Me and you might be all in. But if your friend and my friend is like, hey, I'm still nervous for the virus, it might just be me and you on that vacation. And I think that's what, just because the league is saying, hey, you need to come in here and play. I mean, these guys, speaking of, you know, players' rights, these guys can find a way to go with the Players Association and be like, hey, like the owner ain't even paying me enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not finna go. You know, yeah, that nobody's talking about that. Nobody's looking at it like, you know, nobody's even mentioning Karl Anthony Towns lost his mother to the virus.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, everybody's like, man, I want my ring. I need my championship. Run me my trophy. But it's like a whole player that's in your fraternity actually lost his mother.
Yeah, it's bigger than basketball.
Like, it's bigger than basketball. So I get that everybody wants them to run them the trophy, but not everybody's going to have that same sentiment. And I think that's where you're going to start to be like, okay, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? So like maybe the league comes back with 8-man rosters. You know, maybe they go, well, hey, if you want to play, you can show up. If you don't want to show up, you don't have to show up. But I don't know if it's going to come back in full. And I don't think anybody's really thinking that through, because obviously these NBA guys love the game, right? But you know, and then also let's be honest, man. Like, ain't no telling what some of these guys have done in they spare time. We don't need to know, because I could care less about people's personal business. But we're all human. We all human, right? Like, you know, you know, some guys might have smoked or drank a little too much right now during the downtime. They may not really be in shape. You know, they might think it was never coming back. So that's like the playing field will never be level, and it will definitely be an asterisk on the season, because whether LeBron or Giannis wins it, it would never feel right. You know, personally, I would like, as much as I love the NBA and want to see them come back, because I thought it was going to be a heck of a finish with LeBron and Kawhi and Giannis. It was the most open. It was the most open we've seen the league, you know, in years, maybe 10 years. I hope they don't come back, because I don't want to. I'd rather they wipe the season than to have this narrative like, oh well, you know, Atlanta got to go to the practice facility a week early. Like, you know, it'll never be right. That's
true. No, that's a good point. So I know you're a football guy. I wanted to go over these stats I wanted to talk about. So there are, in terms of offense and defense, we obviously know the narrative has always been, you know, well, the black quarterback is going to use his feet. You know, the black quarterback, you know, he can't read coverages, you know, can't pass. It's not accurate. But even aside from that, in terms of the disparity between, you know, there are there's not a lot of black coaches. There's only 2 offensive coordinators, and there's 10 defensive coordinators in terms of on the coaching side. Why do you think there's such a disparity between offense and defense? Obviously, the numbers are low for both sides of the ball. But in terms when it comes to the black athlete, the black quarterback, and black on the offensive side, why is it that? Why is it such a large disparity?
I'll tell you why. We don't speak on this enough. It's because the narrative that has been out there from time is that the black athlete is dumb. That's the narrative. That's what's sad. It's far from the truth. We know that, and they know that, but they never give us that credit. If you ever watch a game, they never give us the credit for being smart, because we're just incredible athletes to them. When you look at the black quarterback position, they never want to give us complete full credit. And now they have to. You look at the league, right? Cam Newton got him an MVP. Russell Wilson got a Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes could potentially be the best we've ever
seen. Black quarterback running it right now. There's nothing you can say.
You know, Kyler Murray's the future of the sport. Deshaun Watson, obviously, we know what Lamar Jackson's doing. Like, it's coming. It's coming. But they never, when they talk about us, they just never give us credit for being smart. They'll sit all day and just be like, he's an incredible athlete. He's got the arm strength. He's got 4.3 speed. But they never give you credit, you know, for your IQ in the game. I saw, and he's a friend actually. So shout out to Justin Fields. He's the future. That's my youngin'. I think he's going to be phenomenal. But I literally just saw somebody on TV go, Justin Fields is overrated. He doesn't process information fast enough.
Wow.
I'm like, it's like the subtle stuff that's always out there in the narrative that I don't like.
Yeah.
Let's say that Justin Fields doesn't process information fast enough, which I don't believe is true. I think he does. But
like, where does that even come from?
Where does that come from? It's like, okay, so you sat down and watched the game because you won 5 Super Bowls, right? You know, because nobody remembers you playing. But you have decided that Justin Fields doesn't process information fast enough. Like, that's a BS narrative. That's trash. We have to get rid of that in sports. There's too many armchair quarterbacks that are talking about the important positions that never played the position and have ulterior motives because they can't accept that the league, like the world, is changing. And it would have been changed if they gave us opportunity. You have to go back as far as a Tony Dungy, right? People forget that Tony Dungy was a great quarterback at the University of Minnesota.
Right.
When he went to the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers moved him to defensive back. They never even gave us the opportunity. We could have been doing what Russell Wilson and all these guys are doing, but they never gave us the opportunity. They don't give us the credit for having the mental aspect of the game. And also, one thing I will tell you about the NFL, it's the one sport where there's way too much nepotism. And that's the reason you see the disparaging numbers and the difference of coordinators and coaches. There's too much nepotism. If you go on your favorite team's roster, I guarantee you go on your favorite team's roster, somebody in upper management, Google their last name or Google their story, somebody up there's father, grandfather, grandmother, somebody was involved with the organization from way back in the Leather Helmet days, and they keep them in position. They always keep them in position and just move up, and they fast track. It's no different from the Donald Trump model. You know, everybody was upset when Donald Trump said, hey, you know, I started from nothing. My dad only gave me $1 million, you know, but to him, it was, but to him, he was just telling his truth and his story. Right. But they do the same. It's the same model that Trump was talking about. And it happens in the NFL and it's sad, but that's why there's not enough coordinators. Right. It's very sad. And also somebody like Eric Bieniemy, who's the offensive coordinator at the for the Kansas City Chiefs, who's an African-American coach. It's a crime that he does not have a head coaching job right now. It's a crime that he doesn't have a head coaching job.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. You hit it on the money for sure there. It is a lot of nepotism. And, you know, it's one thing when it's always the nepotism the same way. Like, you know, if we could ever get in a position, hopefully, I'm not against nepotism, but it's just always going the other way. You know what I'm saying? If we can get in a position to, you know, put each other on, hopefully we do that, but we're never even in a position sometimes. That's why I appreciate guys like LeBron James so much. But so staying on the NFL though, what's going on with your Bears? Did you like the picks from that you guys drafted?
The tight end is a local kid from Chicago, so I love seeing somebody, you know, from the crib that gets to play for the hometown team. That's always a dream come true. I like him a lot. I didn't like him at the number that we got him. I think we took him at 43. I feel like he would have been there at 60 or, you know, maybe even a couple picks later because it was a weaker class for the tight ends. And I don't think everybody was just thinking tight end. Also, you know, right now, you know, he became the 10th tight end on the roster. Obviously that will change, but I just feel like we just took the kid Adam Shaheen a couple years ago in the second round. I'm not understanding why we just need all these tight ends. The corner we got in the second round is, you know, he's supposed to be a premier player when healthy, but he's had some shoulder surgeries, which is kind of alarming to me, but hopefully he's healthy. Obviously the glaring issue with Chicago, and like I said, some of these issues in sports have been long time issues, man. You know, the game is always the same. The players just change, right? The issue in Chicago, since way before I was even thought about or born, is the quarterback position.
You don't like Mitch?
No, I'm not a big Mitch guy, man. I like Mitch as a person. Mitch is a very nice guy. He's a great guy. I think he's an okay quarterback. I think he can be an average guy. I think he can play 8 to 10 years in the league and be solid, but I don't think he's a game changer by any means. I think you have to understand, I'm a guy. See, a lot of people are jumping on the Mahomes bandwagon, but I'm a guy that studies the game extremely close. And I've been on a record before we made Mitch our selection that I would tell anybody that would listen, any person walking down the street, I wanted us to draft Patrick Mahomes. I was higher on Mahomes than I was on Watson and Trubisky, anybody else in that draft. I've been a Mahomes guy for quite some time. And so I'm not surprised at his success at all. I saw it. You know, I watched the games. I studied them. So I was very sick that we didn't, you know, grab him. And then obviously Deshaun Watson is a winner. You know, I'll say this, man. I'll say this. What hurts in Chicago sports, man, a lot of people are starting to wonder if the Bears actually want to play an African-American quarterback. There's been years where we've had a chance to get a guy and we've just passed on them, and we've taken guys, you know, that just make no sense at all. You know, like a couple years ago, we decided to sign Mike Glennon. It was like, when has Mike Glennon ever been a perennial all-pro that can change your offense and take you to a Super Bowl? There's people out there in the media, and there's also people that are just fans in the city of Chicago that are starting to wonder, like, we passed on Jalen Hurts. We desperately need a quarterback. Like, why? There's people that wonder why we passed on Deshaun Watson. I did not, and I love Deshaun, by the way. He's a great guy and a great player. But at the time, I was skeptical too. Like, can Deshaun really do this in the pros? Only because how many guys have we seen with these illustrious college careers that don't carry it to the next level, right?
That's true. Yeah.
But I for sure was not taking Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I called that for y'all too.
You know, and it's like how much more do we have to do as the black quarterback to get the respect? That's what I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Deshaun Watson's resume, whether you had concerns or not, resume-wise, you probably can't name 5 other college quarterbacks that have a resume that Deshaun Watson has. Yeah. The guy was flat out off the charts. And again, he's a very smart guy. His interview, I read an article in the Chicago Tribune 2 days ago. We didn't even bring Deshaun in for an interview.
Yikes, really? I didn't know that.
We did not bring him in. We had dinner with Patrick Mahomes, I think in Texas or something like that. And we obviously were just gung-ho about Mitch Trubisky, but we didn't even bring, and that's where I go, I mean, you just wonder, man, as a kid who grew up in the city, and this narrative has been out there for quite some time. As a kid who grew up in the Chicagoland area, it makes you wonder how a kid, that's like when Tim Tebow was coming out with all the accolades, and I didn't think Tebow would be a great NFL player. But gosh darn it, if I owned the team, I would at least bring him in for a dinner because that kid was a winner. His resume was off the charts. He deserved to at least have a seat at the table. And for us to not even give Deshaun Watson a seat at the table is just absolutely ridiculous. And this narrative has to change with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted my Browns to take Deshaun, but they didn't. But it is what it is. You're right. I think a lot of, not just Chicago, I think a lot of teams are probably biased against the black quarterback, but, the society we live in. So what about the Bucs? You think Tom Brady with the Bucs, flop or pop? What you think?
Pop. He's the GOAT. You cannot ever go against the GOAT. And also, Bruce Arians is one of the greatest minds.
I love Bruce.
He's one of the greatest minds to ever be around any sport. So I think the Bucs, I'm going to go ahead and say NFC Championship game.
Ooh, that's saying a lot now.
If there's a season, NFC Championship game at minimum for the Bucs. They're putting it together, man. I hope they keep my boy Ronald Jones out there. I think he fits the offense. He can catch the ball off the backfield. Obviously, Gronk is probably the go to tight ends. I just love Gronk. I think he's going to just energize that locker room, especially with the whole year away from the game. And then I think Tom still got a season or 2 left. Especially, I think Arians is going to put him in spots to succeed. And we also know that Tom is a competitor, and the greatest competitors like Michael Jordan, those type of guys, they want to prove that they can still do it, without Belichick and those type of guys. So I think NFC Championship minimal for the Bucs. And also the Bucs defense was very, very good last year. So that's something that people have to
Tom 41 though.
He the GOAT. I'll tell you, if Tom Brady was 61, I would not bet against that man.
Okay. I respect it. So
Tom should walk away from the game when he wants to walk away from the game. He's earned that.
Yeah, I respect that. No, you know what? And I was always more of a Peyton Manning or Drew Brees girl, but
Okay. I love both.
Yeah, same here. But after the Atlanta Super Bowl between the Pats and Atlanta, I was like, you know what? I can't even hate on this. You know what I'm saying?
You can't deny him.
Dude is the GOAT. I give it to him for sure. So what about Cam? Where do you think Cam lands?
So here's if you're a fan of the game and you study the game and follow the game, the scary thing for Cam Newton right now, Cam Newton should be a starting quarterback in this league right now. I actually hoped that the Bears would have brought him in, but we know, we don't know what the Bears are thinking at times. Yeah. What's scary for Cam Newton is the draft class for 2021 is so loaded at the quarterback position that the teams like the Jaguars, like the Bears, teams that are looking towards next season might already be like, okay, Cam's over 30 now. Why bring Cam in when we can just go get, one of these young boys that is 20, 21 years old? Yeah. Just off top, you look at next year's draft class, obviously Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. There's a kid in North Dakota State by the name of Trey Lance, who I'm trying not to say this because I absolutely love Trevor Lawrence and I absolutely love Justin Fields. I think they are neck and neck.
Really?
But this kid Trey Lance, I think Trey Lance could be the number 1 quarterback taken next year. I think he's that special of a player. This kid's lights out, man. I don't really miss on this kind of stuff. He's lights out. So Those are just 3 guys in the first round that can go first round next year. So if you're a team looking for a quarterback, they may look at it like, man, we might just want to wait till next year and grab somebody young that we can just build with and just start anew. So in terms of this season, oh man, it's really hard to find a team for him. Where I feel like he can just come in and be named the starter.
So you think he's gonna be second string?
Here's why. I think Pittsburgh is the landing spot for Cam Newton. I think he should go to Pittsburgh. If you remember, Michael Vick at the tail end of his career went to Pittsburgh, and Ben got hurt, and Vick came in and showed some of that Vick magic that we remember he had when he first came in the league. Pittsburgh has always been an A1 organization, top to bottom. Mike Tomlin's a great head coach. I believe that, obviously love Ben Roethlisberger. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, future Hall of Famer. But, we don't know how healthy Ben is.
Right.
I would be shocked if Ben comes back and starts the season healthy. I would be shocked if he played all 16 games as a starting quarterback. And I think Pittsburgh's got a solid roster where if Ben were to go down, which you don't want anybody to go down, but if Ben were to be in a situation where he went down, I think Cam Newton could not only step in and lead that team to the playoffs, but it could be a situation where, hey, man, Ben's going to hang him up soon. Cam might just be the quarterback of the future in Pittsburgh. I think it could be a perfect situation for Cam in Pittsburgh. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh.
I never thought about Pittsburgh, but that now that you mention it, that may make a little bit of sense, actually.
Yeah, okay. Well, because we got to be realistic, right? Again, there's teams out there that we don't need a quarterback like Jacksonville, but Jacksonville obviously is tanking for Trevor or Justin or Trey Lance. They're not going to bring – because here's the thing with Cam Newton, right? People are trying to spin this narrative like he doesn't. Cam Newton still has it, okay?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So these teams are afraid that they bring him in. It's almost like on any given Sunday. Remember when they put Willie Beeman in and Coach D'Amato, he wanted Jamie Foxx's character. He wanted Willie Beeman to just be cool, but he didn't want to be good enough to where he couldn't go back to Dennis Quaid. You know what I'm saying? That's the Cam Newton situation. Like people they want to bring him in like a stopgap for a year, but he might be so good, the fans might be like, man, we got to keep Cam, and then they might not want Trevor. I think it could be like that.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people. You hear the clutter, the noise. People like, oh, Cam got to prove if he's healthy. He got to prove if he can play the entire season. You know what I'm saying? You got to get on a team to prove yourself, though. But we'll see. I'm a big Cam Newton girl, though. So
love Cam. I love Cam.
All right, so I got a few more questions for you. I know you may got to get back on daddy duty. Congratulations on the birth of your child, by the way. She's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Shout out to my daughter. I love her. Gia Simone Walton, my baby.
Beautiful. So tell me about what you're into now, though. Tell me about Academy Management Group. If you could tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so then I left the NFL Network, ended up at the Golden State Warriors, where it's crazy, man. We went to 5 straight NBA finals. That's a crazy situation. But the Warriors was great, man. I got to work with some wonderful people down there, Ari Glick and Paul Hodges and Ray Ritter, and got to be a part of championships, which is, the dream for anybody, whether you're on the field or off the field, or even just rooting as a fan. Then I transitioned to Uninterrupted, where I spent time helping produce podcasts, and then ended up moving to the athlete relations team, where I was bringing people in to cut content, because obviously I have a lot of connections throughout various industries. And then I, my contract ended at Uninterrupted, and I decided to start my own thing. So now what I've been doing is I've been consulting a lot of people in the industry. So consulting on things like marketing deals, some management stuff, things in that world. I found myself in a situation where, again, I have a lot of the relationships with the talent, but then I started to build relationships with a lot of brands as well, just through working in the industry for several years. And so that's what I've been doing, facilitating a lot of deals and trying to get guys situated, per se, put some fettuccine packs in their pockets, as my boy Ty Gurley likes to call them, So that's what I do. And then also I have the fantasy football company, Tony Romo's fantasy football company, where I'm the partnership director of that company. And I basically do the same thing that I was doing for Uninterrupted with them. So we bring the guys down to Dallas for a 3-day weekend in July, and they get to interact directly one-on-one, with all of their fans. And it's kind of like a Disneyland for football fans, man. We have a bunch of food vendors and a lot of just sporting clothes vendors and just autograph people down there. It's just a great fun event that we do every year. Obviously, with Corona affecting everything this year, we won't be able to have the convention for the first time, but we'll hopefully be back 2021. So that's a little bit about what I've been doing. And then also I'm getting set to get back in front of the camera.
Okay.
Which is where my heart has always been. So I'm getting set to announce some things here soon. I'm going to be coming out with a new show. A little different from some of the stuff I've done previously. Previously, some of the stuff that I had done was with other people on the team and stuff, but this would just be just me. So hopefully everybody taps into that and supports that. And
for sure.
It'll be really unique and fun. And we're trying to find a home for it now and kind of see what we can do.
That's great. I know it's going to be dope. I know it's going to be super, super dope. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
So what's some things, what are you listening to right now?
Drake. That's all I listen to.
Oh, okay.
The boy. Drake's the greatest rapper of all time.
Ooh, the GOAT?
The GOAT.
You know what? I just had a conversation about this with me and my best friend. We were just talking about icons, and it was about Kanye West versus Drake. And to me, okay, he may not be musically what he used to be anymore, but in terms of icon, I think Kanye is icon status, and Drake, don't get me wrong, he had a great 10-year run, and it's still going. But when it comes to hip-hop, though, I don't know if I can give him GOAT status. You know, that's Jay.
I got to give him GOAT status. I think he's past Jay, too. I love Hov. I think, and again, I'm projecting. So, you know, when I give my opinion, I project, right? So it's like if the world ended today, then it's like, okay, maybe Jay-Z could be number one, right? But I'm projecting. Like, it's like if you come into work every day for 5 years and every day you produce a number one article, right? But I'm your coworker and I'm this legend at work and I've got like 50 number ones over my duration at work, right? It's like, okay, technically Chuck is the GOAT, but it's like, at the 5-year mark, right?
Okay. I see where you're going there, but are we just counting Billboard and we counting streams to equate?
I'm counting. Well, so Drake reminds me so much of Kobe Bryant in one way, right? And they were obviously friends, right? Kobe got to play in both NBAs. Kobe came in the NBA when it was rough and, you know, you can hand check. And then Kobe played in the NBA where they feel like there's no real defense and you can just score all these points, right? So he got the best of both worlds. Drake, we keep trying to throw Drake in this streaming box, but if you really remember Drake's career, Drake came in right when albums you still were kind of buying CDs. You know, it was the back end, it was the latter half. But
I definitely bought Thank You Later. I bought the album. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So Drake was able to kind of straddle both worlds, and obviously he's just shattered what streaming is. And I think that Drake's streaming numbers are so crazy and ridiculous and will probably never be matched again, that if people were still buying actual CDs, I believe it still would equate. You know, I honestly do, because his streaming, he's not just, you know, I mean, the streaming numbers are just out of the planet.
Let's talk lyrics. If we go put him as the GOAT rapper, hip-hop artist, does he stand up there with the GOATs in terms of lyricists? Forget records.
During Lil Wayne's great run, and Lil Wayne is top 5, and to be honest, Lil Wayne has an argument as the GOAT. Like, that's what I mean. That you know, it could be subjective. Like, Lil Wayne went on a run that we had never really seen, to be honest with you. Like, Wayne saved rap. Right. Wayne saved rap. You know,
I want to read you this analogy I gave on Facebook a minute. I want to know if you rock with it. It's kind of long, but I'm gonna just put some of them. I was doing comparisons between hip hop to basketball, so I said Michael Jordan would be Biggie or Tupac, and I'm gonna give you the explanations. I said Michael Jordan would be Biggie or Tupac. They were stellar and gifted, but people can't let go of history. LeBron James would be Jay-Z because of the longevity of greatness that hasn't been seen before, and business-wise, he's greater than anyone in his field. KD would be Wale, not only DC connection, but both are extremely gifted, but probably a crybaby and would never be liked by the public how they aspire to be. Hey, it's controversial. I'm gonna let you know right now.
I see.
Tim Duncan will be J. Cole. Both are fundamentally sound and don't want the clout and the fame.
Send that to me when you're done, by the way. I'm gonna repost that.
Okay, cool. James Harden will be Big Sean. Both are nice with their craft, but heavily criticized and got to hear about others being supposedly ahead of them. Now, Drake. Drake would be Steph Curry. Hashtag Team Light Skin, the People's Champ, unanimous MVP, talented but a tad bit overrated if we're being 100. And no one knows where to put them in GOAT debates because at the position, rapper / point guard, is just others that's true to the position that comes to mind before them. Don't call Steph a shooter and don't call Drake a singing rapper. Kyrie would be Kendrick. Both are socially different, not as well liked by the masses like Drake or Stephen Curry. But when it comes to head-to-head, who's really better is evident. They always making their art super deep, which goes over a lot of people's heads. Dennis Rodman would be Young Thug. They're kind of weird, likes wearing women's clothing. Men acknowledging their talent makes men uncomfortable, but they can't front on their talent. They are great at what they do, rebounds and melodies. Shaq will be 50 Cent or Eminem. Both are dominant and unstoppable for an era. Kobe will be Kanye West. Cocky, skilled, and extremely confident, can rub people the wrong way. 3 classics out the gate, and they think the world of themselves. Now, this is the controversial one. Kawhi Leonard will be Andre 3000. Had some great verses and part of great teams, but gets mentioned in individual top 3 talents in their field when they probably haven't done enough as a solo act to justify such ranking. They stay having hot verses or series and people lose their freaking minds. They load manage a lot too. Carmelo will be Fab. As far as their craft goes, they are as gifted as the craft has ever had, but they don't get the respect that they deserve because they don't win rings or drop classic albums, but they score a lot of points in a beautiful way. Fab with the metaphors, Melo with the points. Knowing how nice they are is and has always been enough. D-Wade would probably be DMX. D-Wade sneaks into GOAT conversations at his position, but how do we really feel about that? Because I get offended when people put him as a top 2 shooting guard. Don't get me wrong, he's top 3, he's top 5. But I'm not putting him ahead of Jordan, I'm not putting him ahead of Kobe, and I'm not putting him ahead of Allen Iverson. That's where I get offended. People that got D-Wade to get ahead of Allen Iverson.
Well, that's the thing. We have to decide what Iverson we want because some people, I was having this argument the other day, Iverson technically was a shooting guard, right? But people still look at Iverson as a point guard because of his size. So that's the thing with Iverson. He was like a tweener. He was in between. So it's like is Iverson a point guard or a shooting guard? Once we decide that, then we can do that. Because
he's definitely a 2.
If we listen to him as a 2, then I would put Wade right below Iverson.
Right. So put him at 4 because anything above that, I just feel like, what?
I would go Jordan. I would go Jordan, Kobe, Iverson, Wade, but I kind of look at AI as more of a 1. It's kind of weird.
What about Harden? Is he top 5?
Harden?
Yeah. Do you need rings to be top 5?
No, you don't need rings to be top 5, but I don't think Harden's top 5 yet. I don't think he's there. I would probably go with like. I mean, if we're considering Iverson as a 2, then I would have AI 3, Wade 4. At 5, I probably would go
Reggie.
Clyde Drexler. I would go like Drexler or Reggie Miller, like I'll go Drexler, Reggie Miller, probably in that order. So yeah, I mean Harden. I don't even know if Harden's top 10. I have to really do the list, but I think he will be.
Okay, that's fair.
And those comparisons, by the way, were the most spot on that I've ever heard, especially how you broke them down. Like that J. Cole Duncan one, I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like I can definitely see that. That Carmelo and Fab one, I can definitely see that. That D-Wade DMX, I can definitely see that. Like that's crazy. Like that was definitely send me that. I want to repost that and see what people think about it. As you were saying, when it comes to lyrics, I feel like Drake doesn't get enough credit lyrically. I feel like lyrically, he has everything that you need. He brings every level that you need to what the song, needs to be done. When it's time to tell a story, nobody tells a better story. Also, when it comes to features, Drake has saved, not only has he saved a lot of careers with his features, but he's given us a lot of artists that we wouldn't have if he didn't jump on their song. I mean, I think the Migos are phenomenal talents, but I mean, once Drake jumped on Versace,
he be riding waves too, though. But we gonna talk about this. I'm gonna send you this article.
I mean, but I don't know if he's riding the wave necessarily, or like, you know, it's no different from when Wayne was taking everybody's song and just making it his. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, like he wasn't on the song with that person, but like some of these people that Drake, I mean, like think about McConan, right? Going Up on a Tuesday, right? Like that was a great song without Drake. Yeah. Drake jumps on it, but it's like if Drake didn't jump on it, how big would the song really have become worldwide? Like for that moment, even though even though McConaughey's gone now, we don't know where he's at musically, but like Drake gave him a moment that nobody could ever take from him because he enabled that song to go to the masses to where it wouldn't have went. And also think about this lyrically. How many people can say jumped on the song with Lil Wayne and really gave, Wayne a run for his money? Only Drake. Usually when Wayne on the song with somebody else, it's a wash. They already know Wayne didn't want that. Like Drake, when him and Wayne do records, it's literally like, it's like Magic and Michael on the court together or something. It's like, Kobe and Mike or Jordan and Kobe. Like, you know what I'm saying? They right there. So,
and I'm a Drake fan. My criticism with Drake, I just feel as though he hasn't shown to evolve in his music. You know what I'm saying? I still feel like he makes music. I was 21, 22 when he dropped Thank Me Later. I just feel like he's still dropping music for 22-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't really grown with his age demographic.
But I think our generation's so different now. Like I feel like that's what makes Drake great. You know, I feel like if you think about it, right? Like in the musical community, right? We listen, especially the Black community, right? We like Stevie Wonder. We like a lot of these people, right? Right. That we just know are the GOATs, right? Stevie Wonder's probably the greatest talent that ever lived, right? Just that's probably not even a debate. Like, the man blind, he writing songs, he playing all the instruments. Like, he's the greatest talent to ever live. But as much as I love Stevie Wonder and he's the GOAT, when did Steve, like, you know what I mean? Like, name the last time your mom and dad called you and was like, man, they just went and bought the Stevie album. And then I'm not talking about 2020. I'm talking about when you was a kid. Like, in the mid-90s, did your mom and dad be like, hey, I got to go to the store. I got to go to Best Buy and buy Stevie's album. No. Stevie hadn't put out an album in years.
That's true.
In the Black community, some of the GOATs that we put up there hadn't put out work in years. And I think Drake doesn't get enough credit for, like, his catalog. He doesn't have to prove anything. If Drake stopped today, he's already in the GOAT conversation. You see what I'm saying? You don't.
He on your Mount Rushmore in terms of rappers?
Yes, rap. Because lyrically, like when it comes to lyrics, that boy get busy on the lyrics. When it comes to when he rap. You know, Drake because he has the Toronto, the cultural background. Like he said on More Life, he has so many different fans to please. That's why he gave us a playlist on More Life. He has people that want to just hear the singing. He has people that want to hear the rhythm in the song, right? Because he's from Toronto and they got a Jamaican culture.
But if we're having a hip hop conversation, does it not bother you as a hip hop purist? Does it not bother you that it is his pen is questioned as to who's behind it?
No, because it's somebody who I spent several years of my career actually working in music. Shout out to like you said, Wale and them, Board of Administration. Black Cobain is somebody who I still work with today. Black Cobain. He's with Jet Life and Currency now. So shout out to Black Cobain. That's my brother. I've been in the studio with Jodeci. I've been in the studio with a lot of people over the years, man. And music is a collaborative process. People may not want to hear that, but some of your favorite artists definitely, got their lyrics from somebody else. There's a clip on, I want to say it's Fade to Black, I believe, Jay-Z's documentary. And I think Kanye's in the studio and he's got this line where he's like, I'm from the murder capital where we murder for capital. And then if you listen to the Black album,
that's on there.
That's one, on Lucifer, that's the hook, I'm from the murder capital where we murder for capital. But that's just, and again, that's a hook. I know we're splitting hairs. Some people feel like it's okay to like have somebody write the hook, right? Whatever, but like not your actual lyrics. But man, people like Kanye has had people write for him, like you said.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I feel like, and that don't take away from Kanye's pen game, because I know that Kanye's a creative. And even if somebody wrote some of these lyrics, I know that Kanye came up with the concept. I know Kanye said, hey, this is where I'm trying to go with this. Like, can you help me finish this sentence or this word? So I feel like I feel like when we start doing that, that's when we get nitpicky. I feel like when we start nitpicking, to me, that actually just makes you even more great. Because when you start nitpicking, it's like, just go ahead and get a man his props. He don't got to be your GOAT.
That's how I feel about LeBron. So I feel what you did there. I feel the same way.
Yeah, because we get nitpicky with LeBron. And it's like, okay, cool. LeBron's not the GOAT to you, but don't take the man out your top 5. Let's agree to disagree, but don't remove the man from your top 5 now. And I feel like that's where we're at with Drake. If you don't want to give Drake the number 1 spot, cool. But let's not nitpick lyrics, because when you start thinking of your favorite features and songs, he always got, when he got on fucking Problems with Kendrick and all of them, Drake had one of the most memorable verses, if not the most memorable.
I will say Drake don't miss. Everything the boy drop is out of here. He
don't miss. And let me tell you right now, if the boy do this if he do this for 10 more years, what he just did these 10 years, this won't even be a debate. I think where Drake is actually where he's gone musically, because him and 40 play around with the sounds, it's gotten to the point where, to me, Drake's already solidified the greatest rapper. I think now we have to start looking at Drake as one of the greatest artists of all time. Like, we don't just look at him as just, I think he already got the crown. Yeah, I think Drake, when Rolling Stone does that next top 50 artist of all time list, I think Drake is going to be somewhere on that top 50 list. Like, that's how great it is to me.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but for me, I feel as though, and it's really weird, I think a person can be a better artist than what they are at their own genre. Like, I will put him probably as a better overall artist, but I can't put him as the best rapper. Like, I would put Jay-Z ahead of him as a rapper, but I would put Drake ahead of him as an artist. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
But the rapping is why we respect him in the first place. Like, the rap is what goes into his art. It's almost
he's
like
so
being
versatile too, though. He's so much more than a rapper.
But that's why, like technically, the best football player that I ever saw, me personally, was Michael Vick. Right? He obviously doesn't have the Super Bowls and things like that. But like, if he just had one Super Bowl, I don't think we would be debating the GOAT. Like, what Michael Vick was able to do, running and throwing, he was elite at both. Lamar Jackson, who I love, is not an elite thrower. He's a great thrower of the football. They don't give him enough credit for his arm, but he didn't have the bazooka like Vick had. Like, Vick had the Pat Mahomes arm and the Lamar Jackson legs. Like, he was one of a kind.
Yeah, it's my favorite football player ever, Mike Vick.
Yeah, mine too. And shout out to Mike Vick, man. That's my boy. But what I'm saying is, like, we shouldn't knock Drake because he does all these things great, that he decides to give us a little bit of both to fit everything in to a 3-minute song. You see what I'm saying? Just because, Jay-Z can't sing, or, some other great rapper can't, Nas can't sing, we can't knock Drake because he does have that extra gift and he just knows how to fit it in. And, we can't just box him in like, well, he's an artist because he does a little bit of this. It's like, no. If Jay-Z could sing, trust me, he would be doing what Drake is doing, and he would have did it before Drake. Like, and same with Nas and all them other guys, right? Like, we can't knock Drake because he has an extra dimension to his skill set. You know what I'm saying? I think he gives us the right amount of each, and I think that's what makes him great. Because when it comes down to just straight, when Drake does just straight rap, it's classic. The 5 a.m. in Toronto, the 9 a.m. in Dallases, the Duppy freestyle. Like, when Drake want to just get on his bars, it's like, oh man,
Yeah, that's real. When he want to get in his bag, he do get in his bag. I give him that. And I'm a Drake fan. I don't know. Maybe it's just my affinity to Jay. I'm just like, no, I can't do it. I can't give him that.
I love Hov, but I will say this: Drake is the only rapper that has never, to me, that I've heard, because there's probably some guy out there that, is, but Drake's the only rapper that has never made a bad song to me. There may be a song where it wasn't for you, but in the lane that it existed in, it was not a bad song. Like, let's say One Dance, right, with Wizkid. Let's say you're not really into the rhythmic music and all of that, right? Like, that may not be for you, but if you listen to that type of, music, it wasn't a bad song. It may not be the best song in that genre you ever heard in your life, but it wasn't a bad. Drake has never had a bad song.
I gotta look at that, because fair enough what you said though. Like, for instance, I didn't like More Life because when he gets into his British bag, I just like skip. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's just not for me, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it was bad. But Hov definitely got not just bad songs, he got a bad album for sure. Kingdom Come was trash.
And to be fair, what people forget about the music industry is Hov came in the industry when, even though he had his own label and stuff like that, right? They still had to go get distribution, things like that were happening, right? So a distributor back in the day would tell Hov, like, hey man, we might need this album done by February 15th, 2000. You see what I'm saying? They actually had hardcore deadlines back in the day. So I understand why certain people's projects back in the day is like, man, this one wasn't like that one. Today, what angers me about music is like, you have nobody pushing you to put something out. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can release when you want to release. So why is this trash? Like, you didn't think this through. Drake doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough credit for his calculations and him actually respecting the game, right? If this was a sport, Drake respects the sport, right? You always want people to respect the sport. He respects that when he comes out, he's going to give you his best effort. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But you can never listen to a Drake song and be like, that was trash. It may not be your favorite Drake song. It may not be for you, but he always gives 100% effort. And that's what you have to respect.
But does Drake saturate the market? He doesn't give us a chance to miss him. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, his 10-year run. No, we've never seen a run like that. But do you think, geez, dudes, take a step back sometime. Let us miss you sometime.
Well, I feel like if Drake took a break, then I feel like music would be in a bad spot, because unfortunately, when you look around, it's almost like when Mike left the league those 2 years, right? The league was still competitive. The Rockets was great, but like, you didn't have that star power that Mike brought. And I think rap is in that same position. I mean, I love Lil Baby and all these people, but they don't hold a candle to Drake. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Drake left, like, we would be missing him. I mean, hell, the boy's only giving us an album a year, every 18 months. Like, that's already long enough. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Drake also is an extremely creative guy, and I feel like he creates at such a rapid pace that he probably has so much that he's trying to get out so he can get to the next thing. I don't think Drake's one of those guys that is just sitting around and it's, I need 10 years to do this album. I think that Drake creates, his team there's such a well-oiled machine that it's like, yo, this has to go now, because they're trying to capture. Drake is giving us the soundtrack to our lives, and he wants to be able to tell that narrative. If you think about, like you said, the last 10 years, the world has changed in these last 10 years. And I feel like Drake has documented that along the route of his music. He's given us an actual inside look at where the world was at that time. And I think that's what's cool about what he's doing. I think he's trying to hurry up and get, his talent to the masses. And I also feel that Drake is trying to hurry up and do this so that he can kind of feel like he's at peace with the music, because I fully believe that he's going to go back to the acting side of things and get him some trophies, like, some Will Smith stuff going on.
Yeah, he definitely talented to do that, to pull that off for sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Drake guy. I feel you. I love Drake too. I don't want to sound like I'm hard on him. I'm just like, and I feel like that's the beauty of art. Like, when you put it out there, you make it vulnerable to be criticized. You know what I'm saying? And of course, it is what it is. But all right, man, this has been great, man. I appreciate your time, Chuck. We coming up on, we've been on for a while, over an hour now. Okay. I didn't mean to take up too much of your time.
But of course. No, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to send you that list too. But, all right. So we're going to wrap up here. Oh, let us know where people can find you on social media.
Oh, yeah. Instagram is at Instagram Chuck, the word Instagram, and then Chuck, CHUCK. And Twitter, I'm Chucky Walton, CHUCKYWALTON. So follow me, tap in, drop me a line, let me know what y'all think about, some of my crazy analysis. I will respond. I know Shannon Sharp kind of got mad at me the other day because, I had some things to say. I had some things to say to him on Twitter a couple weeks, ago. And that kind of went real viral on the internet. But,
Really?
I tell it like it is, man. Yeah, I mean, I just told Shannon, they kept debating Jordan and LeBron, and I'm at the point where I'm like, man, every time I turn the show on, they're debating Jordan. I mean, even in the off season, I'm like, we in the coronavirus time, and they talking about Jordan and LeBron, and I feel like there's so many other people who have great sports stories that we could be highlighting or talking about or really breaking down or taking deep dives on. And I'm just like, even in the regular season before the corona, it was like, LeBron has a good game, LeBron has a bad game. The next day they gonna debate it. I'm like, why are we? It's an 82 game season. Why are we talking about LeBron after each game of an 82 game season? Like, that's right. And it's one thing to talk about LeBron, but to talk about him and keep comparing him to Mike when Mike is doing Lord knows whatever he wants to do, and LeBron is trying to conclude a career right now. Like, let's just let him conclude a career.
You know what? I had a theory. I'm convinced. Over the years, I've been convinced that, it's actually in Skip Bayless' contract that he's there to talk about LeBron James. Like, it is a must. Like, he has to cater to that audience that just hates LeBron. Because at this point, it's not even, like, realistic. Like, he's a sports guy. I would like to believe that he has a better opinion in analysis than what he does. Like, it's just beyond unreasonable at this point, So I'm just like, yeah, he get paid for that, to sit in that seat. To do that.
I definitely feel the same way. You know, and also too, man, as the years go on, right? Like my daughter, you know, when she's probably 15 or 16, there'll probably be some rapper that's out that she thinks is better than Drake, and I will just be gung-ho, not trying to hear it, right? But I feel like we talk about it, right, with basketball. We have to get to the point where we just start going by generation, because as the world gets older, there's so many talented people that are all equally great that we have, you know, like when we think about basketball, right, like my top 5, you know, I got Jordan, I got Kobe, I got Kareem, I got Magic, and then I got LeBron. That's my top 5, right?
Okay.
But and there's days where, to be honest with you, I struggle with LeBron versus Larry Bird, just out of respect that, you know, Bron's still finishing his career. So we really have to get to the point where we start just going by generations with this stuff, because as great as Drake is, it takes nothing away from Jay-Z or Nas or Rakim or KRS-One or LL Cool J, who opened the doors for somebody like Drake. I saw he said that the other day. He most certainly did. We got to really start, you know, giving everybody their flowers. Like we become this society where we just want to give one person the you know, and it's like, no, like, you know, and also there's no way to really even tell this, right? We can't put, I mean, technically you can, but I mean, Rakim is, you know, he's over his 50s now. We can't put Rakim in the booth against Drake and see who's the best. And, you know, Michael Jordan is obviously, you know, he's older now. We can't put him in the gym with LeBron, and, you know, Kobe's passed away, unfortunately. Like, you know, like, you know, there's no tournament for that. So, like, let's just give everybody their flowers. They're all equally great. I think that man behind you, you know, the late, great Nipsey Hussle, I think he was going to go on a run where he would have had a say as one of the best ever to do it as well, you know, had he not had his life cut short, unfortunately. So let's just respect greatness, man. You know, and your show is great. I'm thankful that you had me, and I hope that everybody supports your show and that we continue to support just good content no matter where it comes from.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that for sure. That's well said. All right. So on that note, we're going to come to a close, man. I appreciate your time. This is episode 3 of For the Culture podcast. He is Chuck Walton. We signing off. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Stay safe.